And project.
They're pretty loose.
Huh?
They're not,
I don't think Casey did.
they're not too bad.
I am.
Okay.
Either.
Everyone, ready to start? Mr. Frank is gonna take the minutes.
I am.
So we're gonna start with the water and sewer request in Kent Farm Development, that golf link and down the line where we on, it's actually where we on Golf Links Road. And I guess you're from,
I am.
all right,
Jim Ulrich from Alpine Environmental representing Kent. I guess I'll bring this up.
what's your name again?
Jim Ulrich, it's ULLRICH. And Lou Grassi thought it would be good to come back. It's been going on a long time. It's actually in its third ownership since the project got started. But it's located just past McManus Road on Golf Links. This is McManus Road coming out here. And under the town of Wayweyanda zoning is what's called a planned adult community, 55 and older. No one under that age can live there unless they're the primary caregiver for one of the residents, and then when the person passes away, that younger person actually has to move out. That's the way it's set up. So in the initial approval process for the planned adult community, there was a public hearing. People came out and were a little concerned about groundwater usage. And the Wayweyanda Town Board said, you know, are you willing to approach Wallkill? This is actually before I was involved in the project, but you know, with the developers approach Wallkill for water and sewer, which they did. And that was Cole Hayes and John McAteer were the primary developers at first. Mr. Hayes became ill, the project changed hands to a group called 382 Golf Links. And they advanced it through the secret process. So the secret process is done. But when COVID hit, they sort of backed off on their pursuit of the project. A lot of their other business interests were in trouble. They owned a lot of office buildings in the city and on Long Island. So they backed off on developing this and put it on the market. And it was just sold recently, you know, just closed on, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. So, you know, I contacted Lou Grassi saying, you know, can we get this back going again? And he suggested that, you know, I come in and explain to the board what it's all about. So this goes back to Supervisor John Ward. You know, and there was a letter of intent entered into at that time, and then I think will correct me, a memorandum of understanding or something that, you know, the Wallkill would supply water and sewer once all the approvals were obtained.
Yeah, and the resolution that's attached here from 2015. You know, everything has to be in place before any building permits can be issued, including approvals from Wallkill in conjunction with Wayweyanda.
Right, so we had back then a will serve letter, I believe it's called, that said that we were able to supply the water and sewer.
Now, my question to you, Will, are we attached to this? We have to do this?
Well, if the conditions 1 through 8 on the resolution are satisfied in satisfactory form. Yeah.
Okay. How, so from the town of Wallkill line, how far is the actual development? Do you have an idea?
Just under a mile.
So how far is that past the new apartments that they're building? Golf course.
3/4 of a mile past there,
3/4,
yeah,
about.
How many apartments are we talking about?
96,
96? 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms?
mix, yeah. And 54 single family homes on individual lots.
Oh, so we doing apartments and homes,
Yes,
64 homes?
54. The total unit count is 150.
They're a single family home,
Yes,
detached,
yes. They're 0 lot line in a couple cases, but yeah, they are detached.
so when you say 0 lot line, are they attached
They're
or?
not attached, but when I say 0, that's an exaggeration. They're less than the town setbacks. They're closer than the town setbacks. They allowed that. You can see
Are they townhouses with gap in between.
It's a single family home, similar to what you'd see in certain neighborhoods in Queens. It's a long, narrow home. And they're typically in pairs. Okay, but there is, on the scale of this map, there's about 25 feet between the homes.
And how big are the homes, what's the square footage on the home?
I want to say they're in the 1,000-1,100 range. I have to look that back up. Actually, it's been so long, it's been idle for years.
So this is kind of similar to Wildflowers,
Yes, smaller homes though.
but with the same sort of
Small homes.
spacing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, have some friends.
Don't they have bigger space?
Yeah.
They have bigger homes.
There's only 25.
Yeah, but they're tight, but yes, they're bigger.
The bigger houses, but there's not a lot bigger.
Do they plan to
And it's 55 and all.
have a gate that's closed or is it gonna be open?
That hasn't been decided. And it's possible that, let's just say from a practical point of view, the single family, section might, want to be gated. The way it works too, there's a recreation, room and a pool, tennis court. And the rental people also, there'll all be a homeowners association, that the rental people and the single family homeowners will all be able to use the recreation.
And the rentals up by the road.
Yes. There's
But
also.
the whole thing is 55 and over.
Yes, and there's a small commercial building because Wayweyana wanted something that of convenience nature, people could stop and get coffee, I still read the newspaper, you can stop and get some things that you really need
Convenience.
without getting out on the road. And then also it's a 2-story building, 10,000 square feet, so there'd likely also be professional offices upstairs or something like that.
Do we know what these two?
Those are the rental units. So it's the buildings in these configurations are the rentals. And typically there are 8 units per building. And that's the commercial building.
Where the rentals have like their own washer and dryer. They're like a nicer rental kind of setup.
But how big are the, rental units?
It's a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Square footage for it?
That, to be frank, I don't remember. I could do the math, but they're generous because the buildings are big. I can say that from a footprint point of view.
So, 55 and above, so only one person has to be 55, right?
No, everyone has to be 55
Well,
unless
Caregivers.
someone's a caregiver, right?
Okay. What happens is that 55 has a child.
They have to leave.
So if they come in and they have kids, because it is possible this day and age that 55-year-old can have it.
It's possible.
So what I'm asking is that, so you don't allow any kids,
No children.
no matter what age,
They'd have to leave.
what about pets?
I don't know the HOA has been resolved on pets. I assume, because the rentals, that'll be the developers will make some decision on pets. I'm sure the single family people can have pets because they're gonna own their lot.
So when they own the lot, they still, the HOA will take care of the surrounding area.
The landscaping, the snow plowing, all that. Sure.
Where are you with the planning board?
Haven't even gotten back there yet, because I went to a work session in the fall, and I said, we need to, redo the SWIP because the regulations have changed. So that's a significant chunk of work. They know we're coming. But we haven't been there. We haven't submitted, the SWIP or the revised plans yet.
What happens if Walco decides they don't want to do this? Is that- It's over?
I guess, you'd have to restart the secret process if you want to do, isolated water and sewer out there. But I think the concept was that this development would pay significantly higher rates and it would be an overall benefit to
Oh.
Walco.
It would pay 2 times the rate.
Right.
That's part of the contemplated agreement, but the town is, in the resolution they passed, they reserve the right to say they don't want to do this.
Right.
So that's why I'm asking the question.
I mean, they could reopen seeker, do water exploration. I have, years ago. Did 585 units that was victim of the early the 90s recession, but right here we had adequate water, so we probably could get water there. And we're bordered Monhegan Brook, so we probably could do something with sewer, but the infrastructure for 150 units probably doesn't make sense compared to the, we can put the water and sewer in Golf Links Road for $1.25 million, $1.5 million, and private water sewer would be way more than that.
Mike, do you have numbers of how much water,
Yeah, yeah,
what's the capacity you're looking for?
it's honestly, it's in the neighborhood of 50,000 gallons a day. I can,
100 gallons a person times how many people, right?
Right.
So,
the exact numbers in the EIS, that's for sure.
So really, you're just asking for the water and sewer, and this is a project in way beyond it.
Right.
So where is the project? Has it been approved? Is it?
Seeker is done. And then when my former clients suspended everything when COVID hit in early 2020, everything just stopped. So where we stand with the agencies, the health department has approved the technical aspects of the water main from here to Wallkill, subject only to Wallkill and Webby signing on to the application. Okay, so that's done. We have some comments from DEC back that we didn't complete the response to on the sewer line from here and the pump station to Wallkill. So that's in play. The Army Corps permit, the previous owners couldn't reach an agreement on filing the conservation easement. They needed to purchase the conservation easement, so that didn't happen. The new owners have already purchased that property and are filing the easement as we speak. So we're going right back to the Army Corps. That was already approved, subject to the conservation easement. So that's going to be done. Once the SWIP is done with the town, we have to go in and get preliminary subdivision site plan approval on this, and then go to the health department and the DEC for the internal water and sewer. We couldn't work that all at once because you need preliminary subdivision because this part's a realty subdivision. So it's a multi-step process, but we needed to know that it was feasible to get the water and sewer up. So we started with the state and the county on that first.
So Jim, I apologize. I know you answered this already, but how far did you say from, how far is it from the?
It's just under a mile.
It's under a mile?
Does our water go right to the end of our line?
Yes,
That's okay.
our plans show a meter pit just off of the fairways, but now when I spoke with Lou, he said, you're gonna have to revamp that a little because there's a new meter pit for the Feeney project that we would then have to piggyback off that and go far, do our own meter pit after that.
We just extended that area 2 years ago, into where we owned it too.
So the property adjoining the fairways, right there, that's
Right.
under construction.
So my question,
Go ahead, it's gonna be the same question.
so when this was originally proposed to the town, we didn't have the Fairways project under construction.
No, the fairways was under construction and done pretty much.
No,
I mean,
you're talking about.
originally back
the
under
new one.
John.
So
Ward.
way under, are you talking fairways or are you talking way on?
I'm talking about the project now at Fairways, they're still under construction, right?
Oh,
Right.
that's in where we are.
Right.
Right.
So my question is, the water that we had available to supply this project then didn't take into account what we need for that. So is that gonna change the size of the main? Is it gonna change the flow? Are we gonna,
We got two other projects that's happened
Right.
since this.
since that
We
one?
have
So,
an old project and we have the other project that's
right. So I'm just wondering, like,
capacity.
capacity wise.
That's strictly the health department issue. I mean, your water resources are there. We've looked into that at length, with your approved source of supply. You have twice what your daily usage, even taking these projects into account. So that's not a non-issue. Whether we would have to step up from an 8-inch main to a 12, that's a health department decision that we are gonna have to do whatever they say anyway, so.
Because that would change what we brought all the way down there already. Because I think it's an 8 going to that, everything we've done so far.
Right, but the early projections, actually, our water and sewer engineer, John Petrosini, looked at, even if you did water and sewer on that whole corridor, what would it be? And he said an 8 would be adequate, so I'm assuming that's still gonna be the case.
Hey, Jim, who's the new owner?
I'm
Who's
sorry,
the new owner?
The new owner,
oh, his name is Mendel Schwartz. And I have to apologize, I lost one of my hearing aids recently and I can't use just one. And my hearing is real bad, so I may
Sorry.
be asking you to repeat yourself.
My concern is the capacity. I understand what you're saying, what your guys are saying, that's great. You guys can say anything, but I am concerned about the capacity. When this came about back, there was 2 projects weren't there. They just came up. One is already built in the town, the other one's not. So my concern is the capacity, and I will have to speak to Lou and Gracia and the water. and
I
see-
mean, it's mainly because like last summer during the drought, we were, certainly very affected and our wells are all shallow. In sand and gravel, right? So they're not deep in bedrock. So when groundwater table drops a little. It has a larger effect on our water supply.
Right.
And I'm, just looking out for the town of Walk Hill in the future. Now, we do have. Some new sister wells being put in on Rakowski Lane next to the other ones.
Mhm.
Not that that gives us a whole lot more water, because you gotta shut one down and use the next one, because they're very close in proximity. However, it allows one to recover while you pump the, the
Right.
one next to it. So I mean, it will give us additional supply, but that's just something, I want to check with Lou and stuff. on.
Well, I think, I knew going in that we would have to refresh all of this. Because you've got additional usage, you've got additional source of supply. There's been other growth in the town, so our 7-year-old numbers aren't good anymore. We're gonna have to refresh that. The health department's gonna demand it, you're gonna demand it. But, we're on step 1 out of 100 right now. In that we're just getting restarted with it. And so, we'll rework all of that and get it to Lou, for his review.
Anything else, anyone? Good, thank you, Jim.
All right, thank you. for your
Appreciate
time.
it. Thank you, Gene, appreciate it. Next, in the fact we got the ton of, I know we approved Boys and Girls Club. But after we approved it, they came back, and this is what they said, they're working on getting the financials to us. I could, reach out to, the Boys and Girls Club, and they said, well, they're working on getting it. But they were looking, the budget and the cost, and they wanted to increase this.
They couldn't even give us, if they have a budget, they couldn't even give us the budget.
I did not ask for the budget, so I asked for the financials of 2022. And hopefully they'll get back to us.
Yeah, I think the financial within the budget. Say, it's expensive.
So you guys,
We both put it up.
well, we
look for the contract, it hasn't been signed and delivered.
But this
They're
would be
asking for an amendment.
amendment to the number.
They wanna, oh,
25.5. And that's according to their calculation.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're kind of making the decision in the vacuum without any numbers towards money.
Clearly, there's a need for those values according to someone.
it's one of the things they wanna increase, salaries. For the summer. Somewhere.
So what do they want to do? Go from what?
About $25.
I wanted $25 per kid per session. And
$5 before and after sessions.
Something else, that's it.
Yeah, that was just
$25?
per
So it'll be
kid per
close to
session.
300. 290.
Almost 300.
290.
Control, get people to work there.
Well, and everything's more expensive.
everything else. It's almost a 2-week session.
Everything
No, it's.
No, this is the updated one. I put in the updated number, so it's 265.
That includes the 25.
That includes the 20.
Yeah, I put in the 25. The non-residents would be, the non-residents were 240 last year. And it was, 40 plus. 230, whatever. it was. 265 minus 20. And you were two,
There's nothing that they could do now, they don't have.
So the resident was 240 and they want to make it 265.
Yeah.
and the non-residents were 260, and they want to make it 280. And it was 65 per kid for before camp and after camp. They went up that far. To this number, these are the
70 is the number.
70s, these are the numbers if the board approves the increases.
I haven't read it, so. So originally there was no increase, right?
Correct.
Right.
This is just for the summer camp. No, the 2-week sessions.
When can they get us?
I-
Can they get it to us by next week and then we can consider next week?
They say, why do you think I don't see that in here?
Yeah, for increased cost of staffing and supplies.
They want
They wanna increase
the pay
the
rate
salaries.
a little.
We have to approve all that stuff anyway. So,
And there's also the cost of doing business today, more expensive with materials, supplies.
we need to look at those salaries too. We can either do a blanket approval for salaries or there has to
We
be
need
standardization
to
too.
approve the hiring of individuals at the same time we do that, we approve the salary.
Right.
So, it will go hand in hand.
But we need to know in advance. We should know in advance.
We approved it already, so, I mean, it's either we're gonna approve it with the increase and we wanna
We
wait.
stay where it is. I mean, I have no problem with the increase, but you guys want to wait, I have no problem with that either.
I'm in the same position. I'm okay to do it, but if you guys want to wait a week, it's fine. There
Makes no difference.
when I say yes.
I mean, it'd be nice to have some
All right.
numbers, but.
I'll make a motion to table this.
Oh, wow.
No, there's no resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, just ask her to get us the stuff.
Going forward.
Okay. Make a motion, everyone that have a chance to look at the make a motion to.
Anything on the cheat thing?
He's got a project. I wanna do this.
The warrants?
Yep.
Motion to approve the warrants.
Yes, motion to approve the warrants.
Is there a second?
Second.
Or any discussion? Mr. Coyne?
Yes.
Mr. Valentin? And then Meyer?
Until the town has proper policies and internal controls, I abstain.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes. Okay, chief, you're up.
Sure. Bring my back up there. Good evening, Counselor. Eric. Oh, sorry. Happy birthday. Thank you. What do you think, 35, huh? Yeah, 35. All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Look about 30.
Love you, man.
Mr. Supervisor. Neil.
Supervisor.
Good evening.
Send this to.
Good.
So we can hear from this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mark.
Larry. Mr. Supervisor, how are you, sir?
Long time no see. Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, I gotta move in, so you.
No. I'll stay right here.
Okay, if, 5 minutes, right?
5 minutes. Well, I need, Larry will be my witness. That's the way.
Act on it, brother.
So I came to discuss 3 quick issues. We discussed in the committee this week. And we discussed with the supervisor last week on my bi-weekly meeting. Any preference where we go? You know what the issues are? Should I just
Go with the
begin?
easy one first. The one that tell itself.
Okay.
Get that off the plate.
Okay, and that's why we have Sergeant Mike Ronaldo here with us tonight. And I have to give credit where credit's due. This is Sergeant Ronaldo's initiative that brought this up. Mike's developed a good ongoing working relationship with Global Mental Health, the entity within Orange County that has been working with us for about 15 years. What they do is they have clinicians that respond to the scene of incidents involving emotionally disturbed people. So I'll just encapsulate the whole thing and give you a little bit of background. So emotionally disturbed person is someone who's suffering from a mental crisis, mental health related, drug abuse, substance abuse, whatever the case is. We average about 542 calls per year, which is significant, right? There's 3 separate areas with EDPs. That's the term we use for emotionally disturbed person. Person who presents an imminent threat of violence for themselves or somebody else. We show up on the scene, they're in the street, it's a fairly straightforward. They get taken in handcuffs, brought to the hospital, to the behavioral health unit, and then treated and released, treated, admitted, whatever the case is, referred to counseling. So those are clear-cut cases. Another type of case we deal with is a case where a person doesn't warrant removal to the hospital, but it's apparent that they need some sort of help. We try and encourage those people to go on their own, or they voluntarily accompany us for EMS. Yeah. So, thank you for turning on. So, that's a big gray area, and that's a secondary area we deal with because they can't be committed, right? They can't be forcibly removed from the scene. So then there's a third area, and we deal with this a lot. The person obviously needs help, and they're isolated and contained, but they pose no immediate threat to anybody but themselves. Essentially, if they're in a room and they refuse to go to the hospital, we have a policy that dictates that we isolate and contain these people, and my policy is for as long as necessary. We'll talk to the person unless it becomes readily apparent we have to go in and make a forceful entry, and then we bring experts with us, i.e., a SWAT or special operations team to try and talk them out. But for the most part, we use all available resources to try and encourage the person to come out. Who's been a great success to us and a great asset to us is mobile mental health. They come in these cases and they have great capability to talk to people down there. Clinicians, like I said, experts in the field, and they have the ability to bring the people out, much more expertise than we would ever hope to have here. So we developed a great working relationship over the years. The problem is it's becoming more of a demand, as I mentioned, based on the increasing number of calls year over year. What the cause is, whether it's COVID or drug issues, whatever the case is, that's for great scholars to figure out in the future. But they don't have enough people in our area. So sometimes we wait an hour or 2 for them to come, and we'll just stand there on the scene and try our best efforts to try and get the person to come out, but we don't have the expertise to bring them out. So we'll put extraordinary effort forward to try and get them to comply, and many times unfortunately we're unsuccessful. And mobile mental health will come when they're available, sometimes from the other side of the county, after they finish the call they're handling. We're aware of the need here to have more resources, as is mobile mental health. And they've actually received a grant from Eileen Gunter to assign full-time 2 of their clinicians here with a vehicle. They will pay for their entire salary, benefits. There's absolutely no cost to the town. The only thing left for us to do is to work up a policy, because we need to put them in our dispatch system. Because we want to know where they are. If they go out on the call, we don't want them, being unaccounted for during the shift and respond to serious type incidents, right? And then the second part would be to have an MOU drafted, and they have an attorney whose name I'll forward you the information about, because it's through Walk Rider, RIDER. They also asked if we provide office space. I've already looked into it. My plan is to move youth and oil to the back to the new wing. Supposed to have a meeting today, unfortunately, canceled. The rest of me, we have the space. We have the space. Yeah, so the plan is to move youth and oils to the back and new space, and then put them on front if we get a move from the board. So, and as I said, Mike's been the driving force behind this. He brought this to me. all wrapped up in a neat bow. All I need to do is show up at the meetings and be thoroughly impressed, and that would be good tonight.
How long is the grant for?
1 year.
And they're looking to, they anticipate that they will be able to show a need, not only to maintain the funding for the program, but to expand it. If you look back to the police reform that we did 2 years ago, this was something we touched on back then. There's certainly a need for it here. It's going to help, at the very least, it's going to help provide more resources for us, free up some of our resources and provide better service.
And if you think back about all the activities that have happened throughout the town and with the policing, great job. It's always our guys that are put to the task and, you know, be honest. They're not trained to deal with these situations, and that's always the challenge. This is this is why I said to the chief, get this one out of the table. This is a no-brainer. It's a service that is tremendous, and there's no cost to the town.
Can I, Chief?
Well,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Would these individuals be willing to do some type of training for our officers?
Of course. So,
So just to add to it, so. As soon as you brought this to me, this is fantastic. Where I came from, White Plains, we had this in place 15 years ago, where someone went out from the Department of Social Services and worked there, and got retired and put someone else in. So this is fantastic, great job. I think even down the road, I think it's something we need to continue even funding. But right now, we got that coming. It's just a good thing to do going forward.
Well, George, you bring up a good point, because, you know, so, yeah, they'll be available when we have the calls, but when we don't have the calls, yeah, they're in our back office. They can set up a training program.
Yes.
So is this person, are we getting a reimbursement or is this?
No, they're going to pay the rest.
So this is, right, so they're gonna be on open up the health care.
Everything.
They just assigned-
They were assigned there. So,
That's
well, no,
fine.
just,
Making sure I get
there was-
that question.
yeah, they're assigned to the area, so.
Okay.
What happened is when they pitched this to us, they explained to us that these two people will be assigned to the area, which they're going to assign them up here anyway. They want to base them here because the need is most apparent here. Middletown does not use mobile mental health. They hire their own full-time clinicians to respond to these types of calls. The number of calls to Mount Hope and Montgomery is very, very limited in corporate. It's really just a handful of times they go there. They are technically responsible for those areas, but if you look at the numbers, they're gonna be.
Oh, that's
majority.
So they're servicing the whole area, not just.
The surrounding towns, correct, excluding Middletown, Middletown's own services. Yeah.
But these two that are going to be signed here. They're remaining employees or contractors at the moment.
Yes. Exactly. We're not paying any of the salary or any of the benefits.
So they're covered by the workers' comp.
And I assume that would be covered under the MOU.
Right, so we're going to do an MOU, but they're going to. Yeah. For that lack of better term, are loan to us for a year.
Yeah.
And, I'll make sure-
Didn't they already give you something?
Yeah, it's not enough to cover it. It is all new. This is the first time they've done something.
How soon would this happen?
They're ready to roll it out. They're gonna need the MOU to go forward. So we can get that done.
Okay, so I need their proposed, you know, they're putting their people here, I assume they have a document they want to approve.
I'll forward you the contact information. Mark Ryder. I'll send you an email. From ARC. All right, he's the staff attorney. Have access to ports over there.
Guess who's in house.
Yes.
Access. They haven't done this before. This is, so this is basically the time.
Yeah, the that's closest model. We were shown.
I think that's what the grant was for, right? It was models to do the model, right? How long?
Then we shall. Not that. But this unit, these people on the staff, they're weekend adapt to their professionals and they do a wonderful job. They have
This is
great
sort of like,
capabilities for people down.
this is something that actually is cycling back to the eighties, right? This is going back in the 80s where these have social workers go out and do something. This has been done before. This one really good.
Well, keep in mind that, like anyone else, any place else, staffing is, well, in short, there's no staffing, there's, you know,
Well, the question is, they gotta hire somebody, they gotta find somebody qualified, that's really gonna be the crux of the issue.
I think they already have. Ready to go.
We wanted them to start an RFQ, so like they said they needed this.
So everybody's having trouble finding.
Okay. What's next?
They have the two people.
Wait, we just have,
Everyone welcome to stay.
congratulations, Sergeant Renalo. You got a good job.
Thank you.
What are we doing?
John Patrol.
So, so is the plan for them to ride with,
No,
No,
they have a separate home vehicle. For the county.
providing their own
Their own
vehicles?
vehicle. They come with it.
And
Which they do now.
They would be conducting follow-ups.
Yes.
They're pros.
Awesome, thank you.
Good job.
Attaboy for you.
Yeah, let's see.
No, no, come on.
Not yet.
What's next?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done, Mike.
Take care.
So last year we saw a spike in some of the violent crime in town, plus we got related crimes. So we want to get ahead of it, the spring coming. We've identified areas in the town that were prone to gun violence, looking back to last year based on arrests and all the data we have. So we're going to do, we're in this video, George, last week, is we're going to pull to also control the area. We could adapt them assigned to a 2-night anti-crime patrol, close supervisor, plotting specific areas of town where we're working major investigations to A, target violator, to B, to gather intelligence. The patrol officers just about time. And the detectives are about time. They're following up on the major crimes. We need boots on the ground, hitting these areas. There's certain areas of the town, like I said, it can be
Touch on
strategically
what we
targeted.
found, what's going on in Gallery.
So the gallery is getting initiation going on now, where you are assaulting other youth in order to gain access to a gang. The gangs are gang affiliates, they're not the actual bloods and crips, but they are affiliates. We've identified them, gang and bill database in the network we use. So the assaults are arbitration. So like you said, he's knocked out last week. And he was these kids are unknown. The assault is forced out to him and arbitrarily assaulted him because of the cases. That's going to be part of the initiative. It seems to be occurring on Friday nights. So I would think Thursday, Friday nights, and run it for I think September, October. Get ahead of it for the summer. Thank you.
So we're in discussion, we're just around $92,000 that is available for this
Mhm.
in our current police budget, so that we would use that to pay for the initiative.
Yeah, we think about half the time they'll be on straight time. We're gonna pull them from patrol. It'll be nights when staffing's adequate, but on nights it's not adequate. They're gonna be on overtime. But we're under by 90,000 personnel year to date, so it wouldn't be a problem covering on overtime.
We're overtime.
Because of staffing. So it's a balance, it's the deficiencies, right, in full-time staff. which
I
we're trying to hire
understand,
now,
I'm just
but
saying
keep
that,
having
that we're, after this. Maybe running out of overtime.
full transfer from.
Right, but
full-time budget.
the straight time for the shortage of staffing.
That's right.
Put into the overtime.
And that's certainly where it's been.
So, step up patrol party.
Thursday, Friday night. We playing goals for Super Bowl.
You said, just Fridays and Saturdays?
Thursdays and Fridays. I think Thursdays and Fridays are best, because Thursday night should be the best to gather intel. We'll get busy on the weekend. We'll know summer's not. It's already pulled out. Certain. Thursday night is still a bit of a lull before the weekend gets here. Friday night. Time to work up the wall and identify the individuals there. There's those problems, but definitely Thursday night should be Friday night to go out and gather intel.
And Bob, I didn't want, I thought that we wanted to finish on expending the time and guns that we found. Besides, that's
We made a number of gun arrests last year. And this isn't somebody that some suspects we arrested, not just people who were unfamiliar with guns. One of them had an extensive history with violent crime and gun production at very high levels. So these are serious players that we're going to target. And Mike Charlie, once again, with summer coming, I just don't want to see an increase in the violence in any of our neighborhoods. It's best if we start to get ahead of it and specifically target people to get them to gather intel and then work up major cases with other assets, with federal and state level, obviously, the partners that work in town and state government, to build these.
There's a good initiative to have, calls count. It's just. It's good. Getting, 2023, a lot of things are happening. And to have someone there who could probably see something that a uniform guy can, or a uniform officer cannot see. What's going on down there, and, it's good. There's so many different tools that they can have to do surveillance. Which helps,
They're blending in.
right?
Yeah.
I think so.
They're not avoiding a situation because sit there looking like that. I mean,
And
it's awesome in the book, I'm just saying.
when we see the uniform, it's like, good job, next. we listen to this, right?
Yes, one more thing. So Michelle used to get appointed her to a temporary full-time position back in December.
You know,
Sorry, we're
Getting executive to executive.
We can go quickly.
I could take care of it, because I had a conversation, you want me to take care of it.
yes, I can touch on the highlights of accreditation real quick. in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're 71% of the way down with accreditation. We have just over 30 policies left to roll out, and I thank everybody for their cooperation with the attestation. I was gonna mention that, but I'm glad you that on my list. Yep. Everyone's doing a great job with attestation, seriously. So we have about 30 plus policies to roll out. We're gonna try and average 5 to 6 weeks, so we'll be completed with the accreditation process in probably 5 to 6 weeks at this point. And then 90 days thereafter, we're gonna schedule the inspection at the state. The issue we've been having is totally unforeseen. In the past, we've used part-time dispatchers and the staff we have, which is excellent at this point, to try and keep up with records from accreditation. It's an enormous number of forms, and sorry, it's an enormous number of forms. We've, what's another, it's full-time for it right now. It's an enormous amount of forms in addition to the records we have to keep now. So to encapsulate accreditation in a nutshell, basically, this department does a good job of policing the community. Now we're testing to it through not only the records previously generated, but also the additional 100 forms we generated that not only check, but double check that everything is being done right. And this is what the accreditation agents, entities look for when they come in. They want to make sure everything's being tested to and check, double check. So like I said, in addition to the forms we're required to do, an additional 100 forms to basically checks on the forms we're preparing. It's a rather tedious, drawn out process, but it shows anybody coming in from the outside that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing with an accredited agency. The amount of work building point is overwhelming. There's so much paperwork that has to be accurately filed every single day and every single month. And if one single form is missing, accreditation and people are coming in, they don't get you for not having the form, they get you for not following up on. So if you're missing a certain report, they want to see documentation that an email was sent, the record was sent, the record was removed, who removed it, when it was removed. That's what they want to see, that the agency is being run appropriately, and all the eyes and dotted across. So here, this is generated in order, not paperwork. It takes a full-time person plus to keep up with this. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. And with the end of the policy coming to an end soon, the following 90 days, and for us to get caught up and make sure everything's being done for the policies that are enacted. So a full-time person is absolutely necessary.
And would that person remain?
Yes, if we want to, so, yeah, getting credit is one thing, but then reaccreditation is something we have to look forward to. Understood. You have to maintain the standards.
Right.
Anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Next. That's it. Right.
He said, thank you.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.
The one thing I want to add,
Executive with the chief.
one thing I do want to,
Go executive with the chief.
I'm going to go to executive for that now. I can cover it, but if you want to go to executive, you can do that.
Or if
I
he wants
just
to
want to
hang out
add,
and
just
read
want to add, chief,
resolutions.
we had the privilege of going down Yonkers PD yesterday. The chief, Louis Grosh and myself went down there to look at the smart cameras and their system. I mean, I don't even know Yonkers. 200 cameras right now, 50 more coming, and the way they explain it, we're not gonna have that, but we're getting some, and they're gonna be nice. We're gonna identify where we're gonna put them. So I just want to let you guys know it's coming and we're really impressed with how it's put together and it will work here, these smart cameras.
It's to mind to work with these initiatives and, you know,
It's gonna be great.
we're short of staff all the time. And even when we're not, we still need to cover 64 square miles. And with these new incidents and issues that are coming into the town, we have to be in front of it and proactive and get to a place that we can provide our officers online access to information before they get to
It's
the situation.
just exactly what you just said. System is made and hopefully we might be able to get to that where a call comes in. The computer works with the camera, it'll pop up in a map and tell you what cameras are nearby. And dispatch will go right to that camera and see, you know, maybe get some intel to provide to the responding officers.
Yeah.
Real time, yes.
And we'll look at popular commercial areas of the town, high traffic, constant
It's-
voting.
It's really good, so. All right, so next, so last week we started talking about the speed humps, speed bumps. Around the town. I got some information today. I contacted DOT, still waiting for the callback. You know what, I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this packet together. Something. A lot of stuff here. So one of the things we're looking at is not so much the asphalt ones, more the rubber ones. I had conversations with different people about it. I don't know about putting them on streets, because maybe you start putting them on streets. And someone else wants them, the way Will had mentioned that to us. So I'm looking at maybe start a pilot program. Where we're going to maybe put these out a certain area to see how that goes. And then we could go from there. We're definitely, I'm not looking to put them in streets where, you know, it's a road. I'm looking at maybe like I said, little parks, the parks, you know.
Where it's safety is the
Yeah,
concern.
right. If you go, park,
Yeah.
you know, the park, maybe near Belmont Park, you know, places like that, even near the park, what is that road, Woodstock up there, maybe that's an area we might put. So I'm gonna forward everyone a copy of this whole packet this week, take a look at it. And then hopefully we can get I'd like to get this pilot program up and running by May, so that's my goal with that.
I mean, it's a good move and we all know that people have been asking for something like this, so.
I think we can do it once I get that call. Last week I gave everybody from Dallas policy, did everybody get a chance to look at it? We'll have a discussion with it, yeah, I think that's.
Larry, grab me a copy.
Is it out there?
You get a paper lab, machine would be.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
How many copies? Any discussion?
So. Just suggesting that we not go 5%. On the sign.
The way the allocation is. So in other words, you have a certain amount of fund balance, like you can assign, some you can, you know, be restricted,
Right,
some you can assign to other areas.
Right. so 5% unassigned.
So it's basically saying.
I could always change that,
I mean, listen, you can assign everything and restrict every penny of it. You know, with, I'm just saying, with four votes,
Did.
yeah, you could move it out, so. You know, I don't know if that's really,
Right, like I don't see that number.
You don't like them, you don't like.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
It's a little loaded, a little low, but. You know, but then again, it can always be moved, you know, there's no,
Well, we should look at. The current.
If you look at what it says right there, the minimum unassigned fund balance funds for year end, fund balance should be percentage of actual year end revenue, established as follows. So as the year end, the 5% is that you could put 5% of the year end into the general fund.
Basically reallocate to them.
5% of it goes into the general fund. You can put other targets in there, things that, say we had $1 million left over at the end of the year.
Keep in mind, it's not capping you, it's the minimum,
it's a minimum, my fault, yeah.
so. Start and improve what we currently have in there, so.
Just sets guidelines as to how fund balance can be managed and move forward. Have.
You guys need some more time to look it over.
Proceed with the vote.
Because hopefully by, on a daily basis, I get this. Either next week or the following week, I will have the credit card policy. You guys, helping out. Are you okay with this, or do you got a chance to look at it?
I mean, I think I sent you
Yes,
some
we change it.
suggested revision.
So what do you think?
I would think that if the board wants to proceed tonight, do it by motion, and I'll turn it into a resolution if it's approved, and send that to the town clerk.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Is there a motion
Make
to
a motion.
approve the fund balance policy as drafted and circulated by the supervisor?
I'll second.
Motion by the supervisor, second by Councilman Meyer. Discussion. Mr. Coyne,
Yes.
Mr. Darlington,
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
supervisor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll turn them into a resolution, and we'll send it to the town clerk with a copy to the board.
And to the town council.
Everyone who needs to get it. Okay. And policy is effective immediately, yes.
Yes.
No, we do the other resolution.
Well,
Well, no. I'll take care of it. All right, on to resolution. Resolution of the town board authorizing the supervisor to execute rental equipment agreement, execute rental agreements for the lease of copying equipment. This is for the renewals of machines in the court and the dial bus. Now therefore it is hereby resolved that the town board of the town of Wallkill hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute the rental agreements with Bell copiers for upgraded copiers at the town justice court and dial bus pursuant to the next rental agreements for the 63-month period, subject to review and approval by the town attorney. Motion.
someone.
Second. Point discussion.
Yes, just want to add that, what this does, we get your copiers and printers and better, and the cost is less than what we're paying now. So this was a win-win. I think it was great. It came in and we spoke about it, and it's a good thing.
Now, this is also dial bus, so
Yes.
that's not gonna be here, that'll be.
in Warwick.
in Warwick. Yes. Now, did they, is Warwick splitting this with us?
I believe we're paying for it. I never saw anything about us splitting, but I will reach out to them and see. If there's something they come out on the past week. Where I'm training for someone and on the collection of the mill. They pay for something, we pay for something.
That's what I wasn't sure how that was working.
It's worked out that sometimes they cover things, sometimes we cover
I think
things.
we're
and
covering it.
I think
We're covering this, there's a flat dollar agreement with Warwick. That's how it's worked to start.
Yeah, it's always been good. They cover something, we cover.
It's less than what we pay now.
Yes, it's nothing
I
less.
do have to fill just a touch with the boiler plate that nobody wants to use. All right,
We didn't make that you can't.
yeah. No further discussion? Mr. Coyne?
Yes.
Mr. Valentin?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
Next resolution authorizing the release and letter of credit issued on the TEG project. On Sullivan Lane. Therefore, and this is coming with the recommendation of MHE. Therefore, it is hereby resolved as follows: Town Board of Town of Waltham hereby approves the release of the following TD Bank letter of credit. Letter of credit number 12603-1, dated November 15th, 2018. Original amount $153,699. Letter of credit shall not be released by the town clerk until such time as any unpaid inspection fees, professional fee invoices, or other unpaid fees due to the town are paid in full. And the town supervisor or his designee is authorized to execute any necessary documents associated with foregoing. Once any unpaid inspection fees, professional fee invoices, or other unpaid fees to the town are paid. Motion,
So move.
second. The night building. Okay. Any further discussion? Mr. Coyne?
Yes.
Mr. Valentin?
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Supervisor?
Yes.
So carried. Resolution of the town board of the town of Waltham. Authorizing the transfer of funds. It's hereby resolved that the town board hereby authorizes and directs the town comptroller to transfer funds with respect to the 2023 town budget following. From A 5990 fund balance $180,000 to A 5182-4 general street lighting $180,000. This increases the budget for the street light utilities. Motion,
So move.
second,
Second.
Mr. Johnson, discussion. Mr. Coyne?
Yes.
Mr. Valentin? Yes. Mr. Meyer?
Until the town has proper policies and internal controls. That's.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Resolution carried. So what we have on resolutions.
Okay. Motion to go to executive
Second.
For the purpose of,
for the purpose of discussing some personnel in the police department.
personnel with respect to specific individual police department. So that was seconded by
Myself.
Coyne. Either one, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?